Good morning, I'm Michael from Moat Monster Gaming, and if you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. So today I'm going to look through my newly opened Against the Ogre Horde quest pack for HeroQuest. So here on the left is the new Avalon Hill Hasbro version, and here is the original. I'm quite lucky it's sealed. Here is my original Games Workshop MB Games one, and then on the back it has all the details of what it came with. So if I leave that there to one side, this is the one we're going to go through. I have absolutely loved HeroQuest all my life. One of the earliest Games Workshop games I remember playing. My earliest actually was Space Hulk, and I have a very, very large collection of HeroQuest bits and bobs, even memorabilia like a sticker album and things. But looking inside the new Avalon Hill one, the first thing that I think is, what on earth is this giant tile? So I remember the original one very, very well, and nowhere in it did it have this tile or these counters. Now, I then immediately grabbed the Against the Horde book and skipping to the quests, it's actually got a new tournament mode. Now, this is World's End Tournament, and you can actually play it as kind of like a one-on-one sort of skirmish individual battle mode. It's got its own rules for how you build your team, how many points the characters cost. It's got layouts, because then, as I then discovered, there's even more tiles there that I didn't recognise. Well, I say there that I didn't recognise. I definitely recognise their flip sides. But yeah, so a skirmish mode where basically you use a points-based system to build your teams and then fight against each other. I like the idea. I did feel, so the first 3 quests, the Tournament Gauntlet, then Proven Worthy, where they fight a bigger adversary, spoilers, it's an ogre, and then a final battle where they fight another ogre. I didn't really like what they've done here. I've not played it, I've only sat and read through it, but I definitely always felt this was a much more impactful first quest in the Games Workshop version. So I have the Games Workshop book here. Let's just pop it open. I always thought this was such a good starting quest, and that is because of this tile. I mean, it's the first time we had an outdoor tile. This is the original Games Workshop one. And yeah, I just remember it being really, really impactful. Now, because you could actually go outside. Now, the other thing that I notice is they have potentially made these new ones a little bit easier. So this was always very horrible, a pit of darkness, then a double pit trap. And they've removed here the double pit trap, which I also thought was quite interesting. On to the next tiles. So these ones, as we can see here in the picture, they are absolutely spot on for what the original ones look like. A kind of mosaic room, which has got the same insane amount of detail that the original Games Workshop one had. A carpeted room to the point where it almost looks like you can see the fibres, the threads, and then a kind of gladiatory sort of room. And then here is my favourite of the tiles in Ogre Horde, the outdoor one. Now, size-wise, you can see that it is a lot bigger. So it's almost like a square bigger, just because of the sizings of the squares on the new ones. But look, other than that, absolutely identical, even down to the little crack on the skull of the skeleton on the outside. Even the rocks have the same placement. So yeah, what a cool updated version. And then there's the, I suppose if I flip that, they look absolutely similar enough. Then onto the miniatures inside. Now, the original Against the Ogre Horde just came with a bunch of blue and bunch of red ogres. I have mine, or some of mine, in a little bag here. I always felt like they were a bit fiddly because they had like extra bits to put together and extra pieces of arms and stuff. But I still, to this day, love the, I can't see it over there, still to this day love the Games Workshop ogre head. I think the Games Workshop ogres always had very, very cool faces. Let's see if we can get that in shot. These ones are also cool, but they're not as cool. So I'll take the cards out for a minute. So coming with a lot more this time, we have this. We get 2 of these, kind of like an ogre warrior. And then if I remember correctly, we get 2 of these ogre mercenaries that the characters can hire, or they can just stand in for extra ogres if you've got them, if you need to use them. I absolutely love the detail in these 3 special ogres. So we have this kind of like boss one, this very, very cool looking pit fighter one, and then finally, if I can pull him out, we have the Ogre Lord himself, who looks absolutely humongous compared to any of the other models. But what I like in this one is, whereas the other one, the original, only came with ogres, here we have the incredibly cool ranged goblins. So we get 4 ranged goblins. This one's got a boomerang, which I think is very, very cool. Then we have ranged orcs as well. 4 of them, 2 different poses. And then under here we have even more. So 3 ranged skeletons. So I really, really like that they've now introduced ranged miniatures, and they are denoted on the map by, they have a little arrow, which I think is really simplistic, but they have a very cool little arrow. Oh, there we go. Very, very cool little arrow underneath their face, underneath their little icon, map icon. So they can either attack in hand-to-hand, or they can make a ranged attack. So I think that's very, very cool and interesting for battle placement. Also in this, we've got rules for bone weapons and the incredibly cool animal ally. So they only introduced 1 animal ally in this, which is a completely brand new concept to me. And this is the wolf. So for free, for no cost, if you've not got a full party of 4 characters, one of the characters can effectively control the additional animal ally, which in this case is the wolf. Really good. 3 attack, 10 squares, can attack diagonally, can't have equipment, open doors and search for traps and secret passages, but a real nice little extra. So going back onto these though, so the stone doors go from cardboard to a very nice plastic update. As in the original, Wizard still can't open stone doors because he's not strong enough. Anyone who can only roll 1 dice can't do it. But these are very cool. These are like portcullis-y ones, and they come all the way out. So I think that's really, really cool. You can take them out, bring them down. You can use them for all sorts. I think they'll look really nice painted. I like that we have fire on one side, like these 2 torches. Then the other side, we've got some ivy creeping up, and I suppose a shield that you can put anything you like in. And then again, updated from cardboard, we have an ogre throne. I don't think that can't sit in it, which is a shame. Whereas the original one could sit in his ogre throne. But they can now sit in this one. What else we got? Yeah, so new heroes. So different model, but it is an already released hero. Here we have the druid. So I do particularly like the detail on these little bags and pouches, the braids in the hair. I really like this one's kind of mutton chop beard that he's got going on. I don't know whether he's a halfling, but I thought maybe they're gnomes. Not sure, because it doesn't say what they are. But lastly, we have our cards. So there's the druid. That's, I think, my favourite one of the pictures. And there's the other druid. And then there's the wolf card. Let's move it into the middle. The ogre mercenary. So that is this one that can be hired for 150 gold each quest, each adventure. They can only hire one ogre. Then we've got the ogre warrior, the ogre commander. Again, very fearsome, 6 body points. So in the original Games Workshop ones, against the Ogre Horde was when they sort of introduced creatures, regular creatures with more than 1 body point, whereas in the American version, they'd had more than 1 body point since the very, very first base game. But 6 body points, and what an absolute beast. Again, the champion in its gladiatorial gear, again 6 body points. And then I dread to think 10 body points for the ogre lord. I just don't think they get more fearsome than that. I mean, I've played my way through the base, the modern base game, and some of the other quests here and there, and just that's a formidable amount of body points. There's the orc archer, the goblin archer, the skeleton archer, and then these are interesting. So these are kind of dread sorceress spells. They're mind lock, mind burst, dominate. I think it's just them. Let's put those to one side. And they are, you know, they basically the attacker and defender roll mind dice equal to their points. I'm really glad they've updated these into card format, because the original ones were these horrible little round discs. I suppose we didn't get actual villain spell cards until Wizards of Morcar, which came shortly after against the Ogre Horde. But yeah, these were annoying and fiddly. I'm still not sure about them now. So I'm glad that we've actually got cards this time round. But then, I mean, we've had cards for the villains in all the other expansions that Avalon Hill have done. And then finally, we have the 3 druid spells. Now, I'm not sure about the druid. I like the stat line. Let's go back. Yeah, so I like the stat line, and the mind and the body are quite good. The attack dice of 1 is terrible, but obviously they can shapeshift and they get an extra defense and an extra attack. So shapeshift's quite good, and when they go back to maximum, it breaks when they take damage, but when they go back to maximum health, they get shapeshift back. So they can shapeshift regularly throughout. But as Pixie as a one-shot and Life Force as a one-shot spells, and unless I'm missing something and they can be used more than once, I kind of feel like they're a lot weaker than the wizard. But there we go, that's my opinion. I will have a further read through this, because I've only just had like a cursory glance at the moment. Mainly I wanted to read about the tournament. I think it's such a good idea to turn it into a skirmish game, and I've got to say, this feels like this is the one that has had the most extra thought put into it, even though it's just a remake of this one. I feel like there's so much extra compared to the original. I look forward to the next one. Now we need is someone to bring out Space Crusade. Maybe Games Workshop can take a leaf out of Avalon Hill's book and just launch something for a younger audience. And Space Crusade was very good. Thank you very much for looking. Take care.